everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a plan with me for May, and I'm just kind of showing the supplies that I'm pulling. So some bare sticky notes and stickers and some washi tape. I realized as I was kind of pulling everything together, and that's the first thing I always do is to pull my supplies together, that I didn't have enough bear stuff, but I really wanted to do bears. So I decided to do bears and flowers. So after I've kind of compiled all my supplies, I actually go through and mark the pages I'm going to use. So that's what I do first, although I will be straightforward and tell you this is the first time that I was using my partner's camera, so some things didn't exactly get recorded the way I wanted them to. So the first page that I make is always a brain dump, and I found this adorable bear with a little flag, and I thought he would just be perfect for welcoming in the month. And then I moved on, and the brain dump page is always facing the welcome page, and I put notes there, ideas for the next month, or things that maybe need to wait till the next month to do. So when looking at this welcome page, I kind of wanted something a little different and unique. I tend to do very, well planned out and symmetrical things. So I kind of wanted to play off of that. So I ended up with this, what I think is kind of really nice box that is flanked by the flowers. So I'm using a brown Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen in the color set that I bought. And I think I got that at Michael's, and a Mate Flair in that really, it's like a plum color. I thought they kind of went well together, and I ended up using them together. The eraser I'm using actually came from a Zempot box. It smells kind of like strawberries, and it's got a rolling end to it, and then a regular flat end that I was deciding to work with. So the next thing that I always put on my welcome page is a small calendar that kind of shows the days of the week. This is just a nice, easy, quick reference if I want to look at what day something is without kind of revealing my entire calendar. So I then decided that I wanted to do some watercolor, and I made a mistake in the tape that I use. I actually have a washi tape set aside that's really good for marking watercolor, but I totally forgot that I'd done that, and so I ended up using this, which I thought was going to work out really well, but you'll see at the end of the video that it did not. So I've just put a mixed media page underneath to protect the page, and those are the watercolors I'm using. And the first thing I do, and actually it skips it because this is where the recording stops, so you know what, I'll talk about that when we get to it. So this next thing that I'm building is the actual calendar page. I'm using a ruler that came in, I think, a stationery set I got a while back, and the pen I'm using is a brown artist's pen from Art Loft, if I recall the brand correctly. It also came in a Zempot box, and I honestly, when I got it, I thought, well, this is cute, but I don't see any real practical use for it. And since then, it's actually proved to be quite useful. It's a really nice pen to kind of draw with when you don't want to use black. So I actually really enjoyed using it, and I'm going to use it throughout the month. So I have pulled out some whiteout tape, which you kind of see on the left hand side of the video, and that is because I've realized that the month starts in the beginning of the week, and I don't want to have those empty boxes, so I'm going to have to edit what I do. This is a weekday washi tape, which I think I got from AliExpress, and the full day themselves don't fit, so I'm just cutting off the day to kind of allow for that. And in the frame now is Lil Maine, one of our cats, who decided he needed to come see what was going on. So these boxes are 7x7, and I'm using a Dingbats vegan notebook, a bullet journal dot grid. So the boxes are 7x7, and it's easy to fit a full 5 weeks, which you'll see that I have to add on weeks in a minute. So I've split Thursday across 2 pages, and I know that I could have done it where it sat on one page and there was just kind of a gap, but I don't know. It looks weird when I do that, so I haven't I don't know, I haven't found the best way for me to do it yet. So I just kind of straddle it across the pages, and ultimately it works. I try not to plan things for Thursdays. So I'm just going to finish out that, counting out those things to make sure the boxes are where they're supposed to be. And even though I know that I've already made a mistake with those first 2 days, I still want to mark out the lines just so that I can go ahead and put the boxes where they need to be. So I really like the way that those stickers worked out, because they're kind of watercolory in the way that they show, or the way that they're printed on that washi tape. So I think it worked out really well. So I am using a ruler for this, but you'll actually see a little later that I don't use a ruler for everything. I really don't think that bullet journals have to be perfect. And I used a bullet journal years ago, and I kind of got wrapped up in everything being perfect, and I don't want to say it ruined things for me, but it definitely got to a point where it wasn't manageable anymore. So I had to figure something out, and I just stopped bullet journaling for a while. So I've tried to make a real commitment this time to not having to have everything be perfect. And so I've invested in I put a lot of money into correction fluid, and also to appreciating both a straight line and a not so straight line. So yeah, so here I am, and speaking of, I'm using the correction tape to kind of just white out those pieces that were a mistake, and it works out just perfectly. So I'm going to finish up putting up the stickers on those 2 days, and then I'm going to finish numbering the boxes where I remember that I have to add extra days, because again, it starts midweek and it ends midweek. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill out the rest of the days to kind of get an idea of how many boxes I need to add. And I'm again using that paper Mate Flair to write in those numbers. So yeah, and this is where you can actually, I'm pausing to kind of do some math in a minute to remember whether or not May has 30 or 31 days. But I'm just and here I'm not even going to use the ruler, because again, perfection is not exactly needed. So I'm just going to add those boxes and use them when I need to fill in the dates. And it's fine that they're not straight, because honestly, this isn't for anybody but myself. So I will just get quiet here for a second and go ahead and let myself finish this page. Okay, so this is the second time that I've pulled those stamps out, and it was a mistake. I have another bullet journal that I'm using for my graduate classes, which I'm actually going to be posting videos about in the near future, like a study with me thing. But I had those stamps out, and I knew I had them out for a reason, but I couldn't remember what it was. Well, it turns out I had been using them in the other journal, so I ended up not using them for this. So yeah. So the page I'm building now is actually one that I've started using really regularly. I have anxiety, and I really try to track some of my triggers so that I can manage them better. So I found this on a Pinterest board a while back for a tracking page, and I think they were using it for migraines, which I actually also have. So I use it to track both anxiety and migraines. And it turns out being a really important page when I go visit the doctor or have a check-in, or if I know something's going on, I can go back and kind of look and see what happened. And I've been doing it for a couple months, and things just kind of, it's really interesting to kind of watch them match up. And I also have the Year in Pixels page where I color in a little block every day. So it's actually really cool to kind of compare when I have a migraine, or when I have maybe if I have a really bad day and have a panic attack, what lines up with my emotions that day and maybe what happened that day. So the bullet journal has actually been really helpful in kind of tracking that. So the page is built on a rough kind of outline. Again, I'm not holding myself to anything in particular. I just kind of go with the feel of the month. So there's always another little calendar up in the right hand corner, which allows me to quick mark and flag days, so that if I can't journal right away, I can just mark it and then go back and fill in the notes. And then I put in 5 to 6 boxes where I can track about 6 different triggers or things that I think might have triggered it, and then maybe an overall feeling or a statement or a couple of like what happened. Was it, if I have a migraine, was it just a headache, or was it sound sensitivity and nausea and all of that stuff. So I'm using washi tape that I was gifted in I think a washi tape exchange, and so I'm just going to try and use some of that to mark this. And this is ended up being a lot, honestly, messier than I was anticipating. I normally am really meticulous about how I do this just because I try and track these things very closely. But this month I kind of wanted to freehand it and see how it went. So ultimately I'm happy with it, but I do think that with a little bit of planning it could have been done better. And you can just see I'm whiting out another mistake that I made. So I'm just gonna finish up adding these things in, and you'll even see at the end of this page I kind of run out of space, so I end up putting a 5th date marker, but I don't have anything underneath it. So but yeah, I'll use this during the month, and I might just like quick flag days where the anxiety is kind of high. But if I have like an actual migraine, or if I have like an actual actual symptoms and triggers of anxiety, then I will track them and take notes on them on this page. Okay, so I am moving on to another section, and it looks like I didn't actually get to do the habit tracker, so I guess we'll see that at the end. But I tried to film the watercolor, but I had to do it in multiple steps, and I kept forgetting to turn the camera on. And then the camera died, which is why this video is coming out on a Tuesday and not a Saturday, and it was just... I'm still working on it. You learn things. So I actually ended up spending the week prior to this looking for a bear that I wanted to draw, and I had spent the days prior first applying a kind of just a water base to that square, and then applying a kind of orange, yellowy orange color, and then on top of that a dark red color. So that was the background. And then I had toyed around with some polar bears and maybe doing bear cubs or bear mom and cubs, but I found this adorable picture of a black bear sitting looking straight forward to the camera, and he was just super cute, so I had to. So again, I'm using those watercolors I showed you at the beginning of the video, but I'll put everything in the description. And then I'm also using a variety of separate watercolors in black and white to mix with the brown that I'm using to kind of add the detail. And I'm using a very tiny paintbrush to fill in these details and the fur marks and everything. So the bear is black and brown, and the white that I end up using lightens up the fur around his collarbone and his snout, and then around his eyes, because he's actually got these really cute little rings around his eyes. And then I'm using that pure black right there that you see to fill in the eyes themselves. This was my very first attempt at drawing and watercoloring an animal, a bear. I've drawn dogs in the past, but I've never watercolored an animal. It's always been landscapes or flowers or something like that. So while I'm not 100% happy with it, I really think it was a good first attempt. So, yeah. But I was actually testing out this new paintbrush, and I wanted to see, and it ended up being exactly what I was looking for. So I'm super happy with that. So I'm finishing up the drawing, and I'm adding just a couple more details to the fur line and giving him, he's got like this scraggly, like partially bathed look, so I kind of wanted him to look kind of scraggly too. But I'm gonna finish that up, and then what I don't show is the removal of the tape. And so the tape, and this is like the one caution I'd give, and it's true with painter's tape too. I love the Dingbats notebook, but the paper can be a little sensitive to tape, particularly washi tape with a strong adhesive. So I forgot about that, and I wasn't being very careful, and it started to rip. So I ended up kind of doing it all together off camera. It's not the prettiest welcome page I've ever had, but I'm actually really proud of the work that I did. So yeah, super exciting. So I'm just gonna finish this up, and then we'll do a flip through, and you can kind of see everything. There's the bear. You can kind of see his eyes and everything. Okay, yeah, there's the flip through. You can see the rip pages, and there's my calendar and the stickers that I put, and there's the habit tracker right there. So I'm gonna post all of these to my Instagram, and I would love to hear from you in the comments below about what you liked, what you'd like to see next time, and any questions that you have. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, hit that subscribe button. Thanks.